There are things going on in this world that those tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists have been trying to tell the rest of the world about for a very long time. And these are all the things that have step by step over the years, incrementally, led us to the position that we're in right now. Nobody wanted to listen, except those of us that ran into a scenario where we experienced enough pain through whatever vehicle most likely originated from government that caused us to ask bigger questions, then began seeking the answers, and finding that the answers that we obtained through our own diligent work, our own diligent research and effort to educate ourselves beyond what information we had been given, we come to find that basically everything we've been told is a lie, a deception, a misdirection, and designed to keep us ignorant, subservient, and chasing our tails. You really have to realize there's a spiritual war going on with humanity, and there has been for a long time. And that one of the best ways to win spiritual warfare, to win a war where the mind and the perception of the being that occupies the meat suit is manipulated, perverted if possible. And in order to do those types of things to the human being that is born ignorant and doesn't know any better, you've got to be willing to lie. You've got to be willing to deceive. You've got to be willing to use trickery, throw away morals, throw away ethics, abandon the very rules of being human that the rest of the world subscribes to, if you will. I think the reason that a lot of people haven't or can't accept the true gravity of what's going on is they've never really been exposed to the awareness of the level of evil that exists on this planet and how, for a very long time, it moved behind the scenes. It moved very stealthily. Occasionally it would get revealed. But when you control everything and you control the people on the news and that give you your version of reality, it's real easy to deflect and to create doubt when you're dealing with a population of people that has been made ignorant, is willfully ignorant, and for whatever reason chooses to believe that the information coming from the talking heads off of the television is rooted in truth, rooted in reality, rooted in some perception that the government wouldn't lie to you, the media wouldn't lie to you, the corporations that are doing everything they do for profit wouldn't lie to you, wouldn't want to twist your perception, your understanding of how things work, how things are, who you are, what you're doing here, your role in all this, etc., etc. So the point that I was making is this is a spiritual war. It manifests in the reality, but when you start thinking at a higher level and understand what's been done to humans, that's being done for a reason. We're being treated like cattle, like herd animals, in many respects because a lot of people's psychology has them functioning at that level of existence. If people could just bring those that are below them up higher, it would make things a lot easier, but there's a process in this plane of existence of coming from a lower place to a higher place. That process is called knowledge. Expanding your knowledge, which expands your awareness, which cracks open your consciousness, or some version of that. One causes the other, which causes the other, and it snowballs. Well, we have a whole lot of people who have gotten caught up in being enticed by the trivialities of the world, by all of the eye candy, television, movies, music, sports, etc., etc., etc. The things that we do to occupy our time that don't truly cause us to grow as a human being, that don't make us smarter, better, or any other thing that you'd think most humans would want to do. To always grow, to learn, to be better, but nope, some like to just exist. And unfortunately, when you have a race of beings that was created and born profoundly ignorant, that learn from the outside in, are naive, which makes them very manipulatable, very programmable. It makes it very easy to hand them a version of reality that they largely won't question. And when you're dealing with people who will not even question the fact or wonder if there are not evil beings, evil men, evil people that might really be willing to deceive them, misguide them, misdirect them, to keep them weak, feeble-minded, ignorant, and impotent. People just think that only in the movies is where those types of people exist. See, that's another thing that I think psychologically humans have to become much more willing to accept. There are depictions in movies of very horrible, very evil, very diabolical, very psychopathic, very merciless, very ruthless villains. Most people have a perception, I believe, I could be wrong with this, but this is the way I see it because of the way people are behaving. Most people see those types of people, meaning the ones I just described that we would see as characters in the movies, the villains. They don't think those people really exist. They don't really understand, truly hasn't sank into their being, that that level of evil is very real. And there are people on this planet who, whether it's literal or metaphorically, what occupies their meat suit, what occupies their body is not the soul within the human being. It is a demonic entity, a demonic spirit. It is something that is truly perverse, as evidenced by the lives these people live, by the agendas that they're a part of, by the things that they do to people, by the fact that they're ruthless, psychopathic, merciless, etc., etc., etc. See, there's a big game going on, a big play, a big show, call it what you will, going on in this place that we all exist in. And most people don't know. It's like being at the carnival and not realizing you're at the carnival? I don't know. We're in a real weird place, people. And it's going to get weirder until human beings snap out of it. Until human beings begin to question things. We're talking about human beings stepping into the awareness of some of their most fundamental faculties that were given to them by their creator. Logic, deductive reasoning, critical thought, independent thought, and intuition, that inner thing that our creator gave us, where if everything else looks good but your gut's saying, hell no, you don't do it. If everything's saying, I'm telling you the truth, I'm telling you the truth, I'm telling you the truth, but down in your gut you're like, this is all bullshit, you don't believe it. So when you have logic, deductive reasoning, critical thought, independent thought, and that intuitive thing working, that gut, it makes it an awful lot harder to deceive you, to manipulate you, to pull your strings, or to do any other thing, to manipulate your mind, your perception, your experience of life. See, in a spiritual war, it's totally different. You don't see your enemy, at which point you have to use your senses. You have to use your mind. You have to use your faith. You have to use weapons that you wouldn't expect. And most people are walking around on this planet unaware that there's been a war on for their mind. Alex Jones coined that one a while ago, but he nailed that one. There's been a war on for your mind. There's been a war and a battle for your perception. Your understanding of your world, who you are, who government is, who controls it, all of that. There's been a war, a bloodless war that has gone on for at least 100 years since the television came into existence in Hollywood. And these mechanisms of mass media that's giving us a one-way flow of information directly into our freaking minds. While it's obvious that humans don't follow the rules of war, even though there are rules of war, rules of engagement for, war. You don't want to be a complete animal piece of shit on the battlefield. There's certain standards, civilized people. On some levels, in theory, people understand that. But we can see that, even though those rules exist, lots of people don't play by them. Well, as above, so below, as within, so without, all that stuff. There's probably rules to the spiritual war. But there are probably not that many, and I'll bet you $1 bill, that the ones that are waging this war against us aren't following the rules, so to speak. And when we're not aware that we're dealing with a spiritual war, when we're not aware that there is a level of evil that has infiltrated the planet, that is literally trying to take over the planet, and has done, and continues to do, the most ruthless, deceptive, diabolical, devious shit, and they will lie to you, double-speak to you, and all of the other things that those villains do in the movies, yet a lot of people haven't been able to have it click in their psyche yet. That those people, those villains in the movies, those crazy, demon, diabolical, blah, blah, they exist in real life. And until you're faced with one, until you're faced with an experience with a physical 3D human being who was the most evil, wretched, fucking merciless, ruthless piece of shit that would just as soon watch you burn in flames and never whip out their dick to piss on you, if you're dealing with that, if you ever then you may have a sense that there's some really fucked up people. But a lot of people haven't experienced that. So that feeds the level of naivety that they don't even realize that this level of evil, incarnated into a meat suit that looks like a human being, exists, walks the planet, is part of lots of different groups of other ones of them with lots of agendas, lots of money, and they don't like humans. Like, this is some seriously important shit for people to realize, but they don't. And when you start thinking about things I've put forth as far as the Yahweh Jehovah loosed the evil upon the earth, it cursed us, it cast us out, and did all that stuff. Well, when you look at that, okay, so everybody believes that this God is good. Okay, so this good thing, it loosed this evil upon the whole of the earth and cursed its creation the way it did. So what do we got here? Do we have somebody playing one against the other? Do we have this Yahweh Jehovah thing creating a problem, reaction, solution scenario? You see what I mean? Because it's like, create a race of beings, make them sentient, curious, and all the things that we are innately. I mean, look at a baby. Watch that child grow into curiosity. Why this? Why that? Can I this? Can I that? Why? I want to touch it. I want to put it in my mouth. Blah, 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 blah. We were obviously wired for this shit. So the human being doing what the human being would naturally do, being curious, wanting to learn. There's no sin in that. There's no negative in that. There's no inherently bad thing for that. And you look at the stories. So it did all that stuff to us. So something is orchestrating this, is what I'm suggesting. And it's playing one against the other. It's got human beings jumping from one foot to the other. It gives us this thing about sin, so to speak. And I'm just fucking... And then it puts this Lucifer down here in the contexts and the stories that we're told. Think about what I'm saying. There's a really good scene in the movie The Devil's Advocate where Al Pacino goes off on a tirade talking to Keanu Reeves, explaining what this supposed God is. And when I listened to him say it, it was like a fucking punch in the gut, because I had already deduced all of those things for myself through my own experiences, through watching, through paying attention, through gaining the wisdom of the years. I started seeing this. It's like, wait a minute. Evil is running rampant upon the earth, but good does not. Evil can inject itself into your life without you asking for it, praying for it, or any other thing, but good does not. You know, there's exceptions. You know, good people do good things for others, but it's just so much more rare than the evil that we see rampant upon the earth. So the scales are tipped. You know, these hermetic principles we get that say, you know, rhythm, the pendulum swings, and that for every swing to the left, there's a swing to the right. Well, it's like, I think something has held the pendulum, kept the scales profoundly out of balance, and evil has almost wholly consumed the earth. And whether it has consumed everyone or just had such an effect on the earth that, look at what humans did over the last 6 weeks. They allowed themselves to be locked into their houses without so much as a fight. They believed, they didn't think critically, they behaved like herd animals because of their belief in the authority coming off of the television, where you get lies and programming, television programming. It's just fucking obscene, the obviousness of what it is. And if the whole world is at a level of consciousness that is unaware of this, cannot put this together, is unable to critically think enough to see this, I don't know, what does that mean? Does that actually mean I've been thinking I'm about an average middle-of-the-road guy and I'm actually more of a fucking genius than I ever thought? Because look at the fucking, of the 7.5 billion, how many of us actually know what the fuck is going on? So those of us that see this, we might be more the geniuses of this fucking world on some levels. And I'm saying that in jest. I'm kind of saying that as a joke and kidding, but I'm befuddled. I'm befuddled. So when I start thinking deeper, how could we get this way? Well, mind programming for 100 years, propaganda, indoctrination, manipulation of our mind, making us ignorant. And when we learn from the outside in, as a species, as a being, it's right, we're right for what we take into our minds and brains to be wrong information. And on top of that, we have a control mechanism controlled by pure evil that is not playing by any set of rules that we're aware of. They're not playing by a set of rules, yet humanity has had the quote-unquote, the rules of morality shoved down its throat. Humans have to be moral. You can't do this, that, and the other. You've got to be moral. And being moral says you don't kill and, turn the other cheek, or whatever it is, a version you believe, because, moral relativism is rampant on the earth. So these moral people who want to be good and all this other stuff sit back and watch and do nothing and are as impotent as a flaccid penis when it comes to doing anything about the evil that has literally twisted our world and our reality into a freaking pretzel. Inside out. It's just, I don't know, man. Not to sound condescending or anything, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. So, what must it be? Could the world be in that trance, the proverbial trance? Has the TV and the Hollywood and the magical stuff that's come off of Hollywood, could the evil Kabbalic sorcerers and magicians and all of these left-hand pathers that are part of this cabal, part of the secret societies, part of this New World Order agenda, could they all be working black magic? Could they all be casting spells upon the earth? And I know a lot of people don't believe that that's true. But see, they want that. The more you don't believe it, the more empowering it is for them. I don't know how else to put it to you. And because people don't have a frame of reference to believe that these types of things are real, they really put themselves at a disadvantage. Because the people who are doing this to the world, they want that, number one. They want us to remain ignorant to what it is that they're doing. Because if we were to start to learn the things that they know, that they're using for evil purposes, if we were to start to learn those same things, well, then all of a sudden we could protect ourselves. You know, it's like the enemy not wanting you to learn how to shoot. Because you might find out that you like it, number one. That you're actually pretty good at it, number two. And then all of a sudden the enemy, you see what I'm saying? They don't want us to care enough to do anything. And this kind of shit's been happening all over the world. It's been really targeting Western world countries. I mean, if you think about history, think of the French. They've been known to be a group of people that you don't fuck with. They're tough. They'll bring the fight to you. The French will fight. Well, look at what's happening in France. The yellow vests, yeah, okay. But the world has been worked on so much in our minds that the people that were known to be some of the most rebellious to authority and tyranny were the French for a long time. And they're beaten into submission. America, the bastion of freedom. America, 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 Second Amendment. We're never going to get tyranny here because we got our guns. And these people on this planet know this. So they've been working on our minds for 100 years. That's why they haven't actually come to try to physically take the guns yet. Think about it. During Katrina, when they went house to house, started taking guns in New Orleans and Louisiana, that was a test run to see how Americans would react. How badly do you want your guns when somebody who also has a gun, who might be willing to kill you, how much do you want to fight for that? How willing are you, or how sheepish are you? And I think there's a lot of people in America who are gunned up as much as they can be, who are as sheep-minded as possible. It's so bad that what occupies their meat suit shouldn't be in a human meat suit. It really should have been incarnated into a sheep. So, because the sheep are willingly herded. They are willingly herded. And they're okay with it. And what they produce as far as wool and milk is taken from them. The dogs herd the cattle, the herd sheep, I mean. Think about it. So all these people who have all these guns and all this America, 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 and we got these guns to protect ourselves from tyranny. Okay, well, look at what 50 governors just did in the United States. Think about what I'm saying. Look at what 50 governors just did in the United States. And think about how ignorant every American is that does not realize that none of these governors actually have the power or authority to do what they did in shutting down or quarantine or any of this stuff. They have no authority by way of their own constitutions and the citizenry of every state, the people of every state, the men and women that live on the land in every landmass that is known as a state, have become that ignorant that they don't even know that the people that they think govern them don't have the authority to do the very things that they've been doing to paralyze people's lives, ruin businesses, and fundamentally change the playing field of the country. Think about that. Like, wow. What does that say about us? Time to do some soul searching, people. Ask yourself what your life's for, what it means to you. Does it mean anything to you? I said it before, this is going to bring a lot of people to do some serious questioning of everything, up to and including facing their level of courage and how much fear is running through them, their cowardice, all of us in varying ways. It's not a criticism, because we're facing shit that most people never would have thought possible, including me for a long time. Never in my lifetime. This is America. There's so many guns in America. They would never. And outwardly, yeah, that's right. Just like the Japanese emperor said, I would not dare invade the mainland of the United States, for I fear there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Sure. So we'll just change our strategy, and we'll mind fuck you. And we'll do it in a way that's sly, deceptive, and you'll never know it, because you're going to take it as entertainment. I'm going to captivate and amuse your mind into ignorance, into a trance, and into a sleep that will make you so impotent before you know it, before a few generations of you live and die. I'm going to take over the fucking world. I mean, think about what I'm saying. And if you really get down to brass tacks, these people have taken over the world in about 100 years with money and media. Money and media. The money gives you the power to control everything, and the media gives you the power to influence their fucking minds. The two most awesome weapons on the planet right now, money and media, and they control it all. And look at the influence that shit has had on the minds
of everybody on this fucking planet, to the point where from the time television and the mass media started until now, it's been 100 years, and all they were able to do was speak some shit on the fucking television, and it drove everybody into their houses, fearful, obedient, listening to their government. Now, if you've never seen 1984, watch that fucking movie. Because, goddamn it, doesn't it show in the Orwellian version of reality that they're depicting in that movie that things come off the television and the people of that world obey? You see what I'm saying? Mass surveillance, mass monitoring. We're halfway close to that now in the United States, and it's pretty far gone in the UK as far as surveillance, and other places are going that way as well. Look at what's unfolding in China with the social crediting system. Just, people got to stop and think and begin to accept some really harsh realities that us tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorists have been trying to tell you guys about for a very long time now.